France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming.
At the rate that African countries are going at, France is not going to manage. They think that it's because their president is so bad. But no, honey, it's not because of your president. It's because you guys are not getting free money anymore. Like, they don't understand this. So it doesn't matter how much you protest. If the free money is not coming out where it used to come out of, then regardless of the president that you have, you are still going to get even more budget cuts.
So, France, let me ask you something. What was the plan? Where did you think this plan was going? You built your economy off of uranium you didn't mine. You built your economy over lights you didn't pay for. And you built your economy off of power from a land whose people still live in the dark.
The prayer that many African nations have been waiting for has finally been answered. You see, France is collapsing. For many decades, France has been printing currencies for almost 45 African nations. And these African leaders, because they're naive and ignorant, they let that happen.
Breaking update. France's government is on the verge of collapse and the crisis is shaking Europe to its core. The country is drowning in debt, with a staggering 3.34 trillion euro deficit that grows by nearly 5,000 euro every single second. And it's not just France, the United Kingdom is also staring down the same path. Here's the part most people don't know. For decades, 14 African nations were forced into an arrangement that sent up to 80% of their yearly revenues straight to France. That deal kept France afloat for over 50 years. But times have changed. Countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, and Senegal have expelled France, cutting off Paris from the very resources that kept its economy stable. Now, the fallout is massive. Companies are leaving France, unemployment is rising, and the state can't keep up with the weight of its own debt. The lifeline from Africa is gone, and with it, France's economic safety net. Meanwhile, the UK still leans heavily on Nigeria, but analysts warn that if Nigeria follows the same path and pushes back, Britain could face a collapse similar to France. What we're seeing right now is Europe paying the price for decades of dependency on Africa. The old system is crumbling and the cracks are finally out in the open. So here's the big question. Is this the beginning of Europe's economic downfall, or can these nations survive without Africa's resources?
France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming. So they find themselves at a time when they are very weak economically, when at home the population of immigrants is growing bigger and bigger. You go to cities such as Marseille, you find Algerians, you find Moroccans, you find Senegalese, you find Guineans, you find Burkinabe, and things are not happening as they used to be then.
So France is protesting, okay? And this is because of the 50 billion budget cut, right? They cut about 50 billion so that they can start paying off their debts, right? And so their citizens are on strike. But what they don't understand is that they are on strike, but the money that they were getting was free money from Africa, right? It's not money that they were paying taxes for or anything. It was just money that was being funneled out of Africa into France that kept them afloat. So what they're striking for is for France to go ahead and attack Africa so that they can continue getting money without realizing, right? So this is not what they're protesting for. They think that it's because their president is so bad. But no, honey, it's not because of your president. It's because you guys are not getting free money anymore. Like, they don't understand this. So it doesn't matter how much you protest. If the free money is not coming out where it used to come out of, then regardless of the president that you have, you are still going to get even more budget cuts. Like, budget cuts, this is a small number, by the way. A 50 billion budget cut, more is coming. Like, more is coming. Because at the rate that African countries are going at, France is not going to manage. You guys just need to, like, pull up your socks and start working hard, you know?
So, France, let me ask you something. What was the plan? Where did you think this plan was going? You built your economy off of uranium you didn't mine. You built your economy over lights you didn't pay for. And you built your economy off of power from a land whose people still live in the dark. You flew first class off the fuel that never touched your soil, and you called that a partnership? Now look at you. Your lights are flickering, your industry is choking, your arrogance is gasping for air. And why? Because Niger said no, because Burkina Faso said not anymore, and because Mali looked you in the eye and said, you're not welcome here. See, you're not losing because of bad luck. You're losing because the abused wife stopped cooking for you. You're losing because she stopped cleaning. You're losing because she stopped pretending. She realized she was the source of your strength. Now, this is bigger than Paris. This is about a global reckoning. The West is learning what it means to run out of stolen things. To all the Western nations that built their empires off of unpaid labor and unpaid bills, I have one question for you. What was your long-term plan? What was the plan? Did you think Africa was going to let you plunder forever? Did you think Africa was never going to wake up? Did you think Africa was never going to fight back? Did you think we'd never realize we were the ones holding up your entire global illusion? We were the wife in the abusive relationship. We were cooking your meals, we were raising your kids, and we were funding your dreams. And all you ever gave us was debt, chaos, poverty, sanctions, and shiny buildings in Dubai that we couldn't enter. Until one day, the eldest son, with shoulders wide and heart heavy, looked at you and said, you touch her again, I dare you. And that's Niger, that's Mali, that's Burkina Faso. That's the sound of a continent finally raising its voice. Let me say this clearly. Capitalism is not our savior. It was never built for us. It was built on top of us. And yes, it worked for you for a while, but your greed didn't know when to stop. You took too much for too long with too little respect, and now your lights are dimming. Let that be your lesson, and let it be our warning as Africans. Africa, we must not repeat their mistake. This is not the time to just nationalize. This is the time to reimagine everything. When we finally sit at that BRICS table, or the AU table, or sign deals with China or India or whoever, we don't show up as beggars anymore. We're not beggars. We are the plug. We are the minerals. We are the sun. We are the food. We are the future. They have always known this. The West has always known this. So we don't trade like we're scared to lose access. We negotiate like the world will stop spinning without us, because it will. And to the West, don't just change your plan. Change your posture, because those old tricks you used to use, they don't work anymore. The aid, it doesn't land, and your white savior complex is expired. So before I go, France, you lost access to uranium, but I'm pretty sure you didn't lose access to reason. So ask yourself, was the plan ever sustainable? Was it ethical? Was it ever yours to begin with? Because we're not asking for revenge. We've always asked for respect, and that's all we're asking for. Respect. And this time, we're not waiting for your permission. Let's move.
The prayer that many African nations have been waiting for has finally been answered. You see, France is collapsing. For many decades, France has been printing currencies for almost 45 African nations. And these African leaders, because they're naive and ignorant, they let that happen. You see, a little tiny nation like this, a little tiny piece of land controls almost half of the continent. And these African leaders, they let that happen. And now France is collapsing. See, France cannot survive without Africa. France is not capable of surviving on its own. It is because African leaders were letting this happen. They let the exploitation continue. That is why France was actually surviving. And now that France is being pushed out of Africa, many African countries does not want the presence of France anymore in the continent. France's economy is collapsing, and it's only gonna get worse. I mean, I don't know if you've seen France. You go to Paris, man, Paris looks like a ghetto. I mean, there's videos of France just look like trash. It's no longer the France that people used to praise, and it's no longer the France that used to be attractive. And no, this is why African nations need to come together. You see, France was extracting nearly $1 trillion every year from Africa's resources. $1 trillion every year, okay? And now that it's being pushed out, it's no longer getting that much money. So its economy is collapsing. Now you can see that it was only depending on Africa's resources for it to survive. How can you let a little tiny nation like that control that many countries? This is ignorance at its best. Africa must control its own economy. So apparently France is running out of money. France is broke. All those billions of dollars they were getting from the Sahel region, the money is no longer coming. Many African countries are pushing France out. So now we know.
The France that you see now is a France that is built on the back of those colonies. They were harsh because their very survival depended on these colonies. And their harshness can be seen when on the eve of independence in African countries, they signed the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. The yes-no vote for French colonies to decide whether after so-called independence they would retain connection and connectivity with Paris. They gave everybody the opportunity to vote yes or no, but they did not want you to vote no. So that when Guinea voted no under Ahmed Sékou Touré, when they were leaving, they destroyed everything that was capable of being destroyed. Modibo Keïta, in what was then the French Sudan, now Mali, they destroyed everything. Algeria, the pogrom in Algeria, when they were leaving, then led by Ahmed Ben Bella, they destroyed everything. The other countries, they continue to control. As we speak, the currencies of all former French colonies are still printed in France, CFA franc. Their cruelty, I think, comes out of a big psychological burden, which they visit, transfer of aggression. It is painful. You can see even as we speak during the coup d'etats in Africa, the arrogance. You tell a country which is equal in international law that we have accredited our ambassador, we do not care. France, the home of revolution, the home of coup d'etats at one time, can not recognize a revolution when it's taking place, and they say, accept our ambassador. We don't accept the revolution. That is France for you. Arrogance. The most arrogant of the colonial powers. You know, the history of France is the history of how the arrogance fall. Is, if you allow me, the school bully who takes lunch from every little boy and little girl thinks that he is invincible. Then one day, the little boy says, today you are not taking my lunch. And what the little boy does is to hit you when you did not expect. And you find yourself on the ground and everybody is laughing at you. France did not see what is happening in West Africa coming. So they find themselves at a time when they are very weak economically, when at home the population of immigrants is growing bigger and bigger. You go to cities such as Marseille, you find Algerians, you find Moroccans, you find Senegalese, you find Guineans, you find Burkinabe, and things are not happening as they used to be. Then, in the former colonies that you thought you are controlling, a breed of young men and women begin rising. They rise in Guinea-Conakry, and the first thing they do is they say, we abolish all the agreements that exist between us and France. They rise in Burkina Faso and they say the same thing. They rise in Mali and they say the same thing. They rise in Niger, which has been providing you with uranium. Now you can't take it. I think they cannot take it because they are losing food which has been inside of their mouth. And they do not know how to behave. As somebody once said, without Africa, there is no France. Without our former colonies, give France only 20 years, and it will be one of the poorest nations in the continent of Europe. And that is going to happen. And they are resisting because for them this is life and death. But the stars, which I can now perfectly read, are telling me that their goose is cooked, and very well cooked.